Hi, I'm Josh from Posh Restaurant in Old Town Scottsdale, and today we're going to talk about how to tie, roast, and rest a roast, all to have a wonderful meal. So here we have a portion of pork tenderloin for one person. This has already been marinated and seasoned, but you'll notice it's oddly shaped. We're going to tie this to get it to cook nice and evenly. First thing we're going to do is take a little length of string, and I'm going to make kind of a funky loop. I'm going to hold the short end in front of my hand and the long end behind it. I'm going to take and tuck it under my finger, and then I'm going to roll my hand forward and grab the long piece with my index finger. I'm going to pull it through the circle, and I have the beginnings of my string tie. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to place that over the largest end here, and I'm going to pull it tight, holding the knot in the center of the piece of meat. Okay? Then I'm going to take and make a big circle, do the same thing, twist the circle, and go about an inch down on my roast, and pull it tight again. Then we'll repeat. Make a circle, cross it, cover the meat, give it about an inch, pull it tight. One more time, down to the end. Tie it nice and tight. Then depending, go ahead and cut off the excess string. I like to roll it over one time, tie the other way, and just run the string through the knot on the end. This works great if you have small fingers. If you have big fingers, sorry. Then we're going to tie off the last little bit there. Get rid of our excess string, and now we have a nicely tightened roast ready to cook evenly. And now we're going to take our piece of meat over to the stove. It's already been marinated and seasoned, so we're going to start here with a little clarified butter, the bottom of a hot pan. We don't want it too hot. We have a little sugar in this marinade, so I'm going to pull this from the heat for just a second. Now we've got our pan at just the right temperature. We're going to go ahead, lay our roast in there nice and snug, and let it get golden brown on one side. Once it gets a little color, scoot it toward the back of the pan. We can go ahead and baste it. If we want to throw a little fresh herbs in there, you can at this phase. Sometimes if you throw your fresh herbs in a little too early, they'll maybe burn instead of just brown or crisp up. So we'll go ahead, do a little toss. Once we've got a little color, we'll flip our roast on the other side, do a little toss, do a little baste. Then we're going to set that in the oven about 400 degrees for about 8 to 10 minutes to get it cooked all the way through nice and evenly. Now we're going to make a little liquid to rest our meat in once it comes out of the oven. One of the most important parts about cooking a meat and having a meat served perfectly is if you allow it to rest. As you cook it, the muscles contract and it gets really tight, kind of toughens up, and the juices run all the way through it. So if you take it out and cut right into it, all the juices are going to be running all over your cutting board instead of all over your plate. So you want to take a piece of meat out and let it rest. It will relax the muscles, it will allow the juices to redistribute. You have to assume about a minute of resting time for every 2 minutes of cook time. So 50% is the rule there. So if you want to add a little flavor while it's resting and keep it at the right temperature, we make a little something called beurre fondue, which is a little butter and water. We've got butter, and we're going to bring it up to a simmer. Do you notice if you try to just cook butter by itself at too high a temperature, it breaks right away, right? Well, if we want to emulsify it into a nice liquid, we make it like we're making a sauce, but just start with a little water and maybe a pinch of salt. And for a little added flavor, you can throw in herbs, whatever you're in the mood for, but today we're going to use smoked butter that we made earlier. I have about 4 tablespoons of water, and I'm going to add about 1/3 of a cup of our smoked butter to the liquid that's already warm. We want to not let it get up to a boil just yet, but we're going to take a whisk, stir, stir, stir. Over medium heat, once we get all of our butter emulsified, we just want to keep it somewhere warm. A nice spot right over the oven usually keeps everything warm enough to stay emulsified. It should look kind of like foamy yellow, simple liquid, almost soup-like, which is perfectly fine. And it should have a nice little aroma of smoke from the earlier in the day when we smoked our butter. Once everything is melted and worked in, completely emulsified, like I said, we'll keep it off and set it right on top of our oven here where it'll stay nice and warm. Once our pork loin here has cooked for the obligatory amount of time, we want to touch it, test it, know that it feels right. We're going to take it out and just drop it in that nice warm butter liquid to rest. There it can sit, shallow, relaxing, soaking up some of that butter as those juices kind of settle, so we can cut into it and make a perfect roast pork loin for our friends. So we've tied a roast pork loin, we've shaped it, we've roasted it properly in a pan, and now we're resting it properly so we can enjoy a great dinner. Cheers and have a great pork loin kind of a day.